Welcome back to another episode of the What We're Watching podcast. I'm Megan.
And I'm Jenny, and today we're talking about Ice Princess.
I was so excited to watch this movie again. It's so nostalgic.
Did you watch this growing up?
Yes. Did you?
Oh, yeah. This was one of my favorites. This was such a good one.
Me too. This one and what was the one with the, I think it's Chad, was it Chad Michael Murray? No. It was a guy from SNL. Is the pop star Stuck in the Suburbs? Is that what it's called?
Oh my gosh, what a throwback. Yeah. Wait, is that the one with Danielle Panabaker?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that one. And this one, surprisingly, I guess maybe I shouldn't be surprised because we're talking about how much we love it, but it did really well in our poll when we asked you guys which episode we should kick off the year with. And you picked Harry Met Sally, but by a narrow margin. So we're also doing Ice Princess.
Yes, because it's so good.
Yeah.
And also, I really wanted to do Ice Princess.
Me too.
I was like, we have to do it.
And it's on Disney Plus, so it's easy to watch. We didn't have to pay to rent it. It was great.
And I hadn't seen this movie since I was a kid, I don't think, or a teenager maybe, and it holds up. It was cute.
It was still good.
It's cheesy, like any Disney movie, and it, maybe wasn't super realistic, but it was great. I loved it. I had a good time.
And there's a lot of people in this. Like, the cast was really, really good.
I did not remember that any of these famous people were in this.
Me either. I remember Michelle Trachtenberg. I don't know if that's even how you say her name. And I didn't remember anybody else that was in this. So as everybody kept coming on screen, I was like, whoa, this movie's stacked.
I was like, there's Hayden Panettiere. There's Kim Cattrall. Like, what?
I know. Brian came in and was like, oh my God, Heroes Girl. Are you watching Heroes? No. Ice Princess.
Definitely not.
Okay, so the logline for this movie is Casey Carlisle is supposed to go to Harvard like her mother wants. While Casey has the grades to get in, what she really wants to do is pursue her passion, figure skating.
I remember in college, I was talking to this girl who was a figure skater, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. How did you get into it? And she said, you know that Disney movie, Ice Princess? And I was like, stop, you're kidding me. So she watched this movie and became a figure skater because of it.
Wow. I'm sure she's not the only one. I'm sure there's a lot of people after this movie.
I'm sure this made a lot of people, start skating at least.
Totally.
I wanted to. I was like, oh, okay, so she's not super athletic, but she knows physics, and because she's smart, she can ice skate? Cool, I'm in.
Sick. Smart transfers to ice skating. Love that.
As someone who was like never athletic, it was inspiring to me.
I'm a bad ice skater. I'm still a really bad ice skater.
I'm a bad roller skater. Last time I roller skated, I was like, it's good, guys. I got this. When I was a kid, I was really good at roller skating, or so I thought I was. It turns out I just would roller skate on the carpet, but I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
So I get out on the roller rink, and I think I broke my butt immediately.
Oh.
I needed those big padded pants that she has in this movie.
Yeah.
I needed the butt pads. And honestly, I would love to learn ice skating, but I need the butt pads.
Brian and I, we used to do that probably once a year. I feel like we haven't in a couple years now, but he's a good ice skater because he played hockey when he was little. So he can go fast and skate backwards and do all that. And I can't.
Can he teach us?
That would be good. He would love to, I'm sure.
We are going to become ice princesses now.
We will take a video, maybe.
So I didn't know this, but the story is by Meg Cabot, who is the author of The Princess Diaries.
Wow, another favorite.
I know. And she's written so many stories, but I don't think she wrote a book about Ice Princess. I think she just came up with the story along with Hadley Davis, who went on to be the screenwriter.
It definitely has a little touch of Princess Diaries. I could see that.
Totally.
Okay, so Michelle Trachtenberg plays Casey Carlisle, and she's been in quite a few things I didn't realize.
Yeah, she's been in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, 17 Again, Harriet the Spy, which I totally forgot she is Harriet the Spy.
Oh, I don't think I ever saw that.
Oh my gosh, I loved that movie as a kid. She was a lot younger in that. And then she was also in Gossip Girl. And she trained for 8 months for this movie. I was really interested while watching it. I was like, how many of these are stunt doubles? Because we don't see their faces a lot when they're skating. She did have stunt doubles, especially for the falls, but there were certain things that she did that they couldn't use a stunt double for because it would be too obvious that they had different body types. So she did actually have to learn how to ice skate.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out the entire movie for all of them because I was like, there are, especially like in the easier moves or even some of the like small spins, you can see their face.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that's definitely them, but I'm sure not all of it is them. So, okay, it was a mix.
Yeah, at least for her. And she was 18 when they were filming this movie.
Okay.
So I think she was like one of the only adults out of the ones who were playing kids.
Mm.
And no, I couldn't find any facts to back this up, but I believe it to be true, in my head at least. I saw that Rachel McAdams was considered for the role of Casey.
I could see that.
I could too, and it would make sense because Rachel McAdams was a figure skater as a kid. Like, she wanted to go pro.
Wow. So she would have been great for it.
Yeah.
That's also kind of what I was wondering about these girls, with the exception of Michelle Trachtenberg and Hayden Panettiere. I was like, are these girls figure skaters that also can kind of act? Or are they actors that did training and had stunt doubles? I don't know.
I know.
Oh, great. Good.
Yeah, so there were a ton of real ice skaters in the movie. We had Kirsten Olsen, who played Nikki Fletcher, aka the Flying Shrimp.
Jumping Shrimp.
Jumping Shrimp? Is that her name? Jumping Shrimp?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, the shrimp. She was an ice skater. And then the one who played Zoe Block, Juliana Conarozo, she was an ice skater.
Cool.
Which makes so much sense because you could tell by the way she was dancing and the moves she was doing. They had such a style to them. I was like, I feel like she's a real skater.
Mm-hmm.
And then Michelle Kwan was in it. Of course, I recognized her. She was the commentator.
That's who it was. Okay.
Yes.
I thought I recognized her. Okay.
Yes, the Michelle Kwan was in this movie. And then Brian Boitano is also a famous professional figure skater.
The name sounds very familiar. Was he the other announcer? Commentator person?
Yes. The other friend, Tiffany of Hayden Panettiere, that's Jocelyn Lai, I think is her name. She was a figure skater, but mostly an actress, I think. And then there was one other girl who played a side character who was also a figure skater.
Okay.
So I thought that was really cool and it makes a lot of sense that they would. I mean, it would be so much work to teach everybody how to figure skate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially if they, didn't have that many lines. It makes way more sense to just have a figure skater, so makes sense.
And then we have Hayden Panettiere, who plays Jen Harwood.
She's such a good actress. I forgot what a good actress she is. I haven't seen her in things for a while, but she's so talented.
I miss her. Mm-hmm. She was in so many things. She was in Nashville, Heroes, Scream, Bring It On, I Love You, Beth Cooper, many, many more. And she actually did a ton of her own skating in this movie. I think she said she did most of her own skating.
Wow.
She was only like 15 or 16, and she's super athletic. She does a lot of sports, so she just thought it would be a great challenge and was like, yeah.
That's young. I just assumed that she was also like 18. I assumed all of them were like 18 to 20.
Not her.
Wow.
And then she also sings a song on this soundtrack, which I didn't even catch. The song is called I Fly. I didn't even know she did music.
Me either.
But yeah, she does.
Cool.
Or she did.
And then Joan Cusack plays Joan Carlisle, who is Casey's mom. And she's in Toy Story. And I like her. We don't see her in a lot of stuff either, but yeah, she's Jessie.
I did not know she was Jessie in Toy Story.
Okay.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You knew this?
Uh-huh.
You know all the Toy Story cast.
It's like one of my family's favorite movies.
She was an SNL cast member for 1 year in 1985.
Wow.
Didn't know that.
I never would have guessed that.
She's been in so many things. She was in Working Girl, Runaway Bride, Where the Heart Is. Recently, I saw her in Let It Snow, that John Green adaptation.
Yeah. I never saw that.
She played a very interesting character in that. But yeah.
Which, side note, I saw The Family Switch the other day.
Oh.
Cute. Actually cute and pretty good. I really liked it.
Is she in this?
No.
Or no?
No.
Jennifer Garner, though.
Jennifer Garner, yeah.
I want to see that.
It was very cute. Let Us Know just made me think of it because technically that's a Christmas movie, but it wasn't so Christmassy that you couldn't watch it now. It was really cute.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Anyway. Kim Cattrall. Samantha.
Yes, Samantha from Sex and the City. She played Tina Harwood, who is Jen, a.k.a. Hayden Panettiere's mom.
Mm-hmm.
She's been in other stuff, but most recently I think I saw her in How I Met Your Father with Hilary Duff. She plays the older version of Hilary Duff's character.
Cool.
And Tina Harwood's name is a reference to Tanya Harding, which makes a lot of sense.
I was wondering that with the TH. I was totally wondering that. That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you guys would ever want us to do an episode on I, Tanya, let us know.
I've never seen it. I would love to see it, though.
It's really good.
I love Margot Robbie.
Yeah. Margot Robbie is the best.
I want more ice skating movies after this, so I'm down.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
And then this is a really random fun fact, but I was reading an interview with Hayden Panettiere, and she was saying that she and Kim have the same birthday, and then Joan and Michelle have the same birthday.
Weird.
I know. Both mother-daughter duos in this movie have the same birthday.
Wow. That's a crazy coincidence.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I love that.
Okay, should we jump right in?
Yeah.
So the movie kicks off. Casey is skating on her frozen, like, neighborhood backyard pond. This makes me more anxious than anything else. I hate this.
That thing is not frozen enough.
I hate it when people are on ponds. You should never stand on a body of water that is not like a skating rink that's 2 inches thick, in my opinion. Anyway, but the point is just that we see her skate, and this is how she normally skates. You can kind of see her house a little bit, so you just kind of get a sense of her life and her interests. And then at school, we see her teacher telling her that she's eligible for this, like, exclusive, very big physics scholarship because she's extremely talented and extremely smart at physics. And he offers to write her a letter of recommendation and tells her all she has to do is complete a physics project that's personal to her over the summer.
So Casey and her best friend, I think her name is Anne, maybe,
Anne,
walk down the hall and they see Jen, who is Hayden, and she's like this blonde, popular girl, and she's handing out invites to her boyfriend's party. She walks up to Casey Cargyle, and she is like, hey, here's an invitation to my boyfriend's party. Casey's like, oh my gosh, like what? Like she sees me? Mm-hmm. I'm invited? What the heck? And then Jen says, it's for someone in Casey's chem lab. Can you give it to him?
Mm-hmm. Rude.
Yeah, Anne is like, oh, that was so inconsiderate.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
It was.
You can tell they're just like not the popular girls. Like they're not invited to the parties. They're looking at the cute boys and they're like, oh, well, one day he'll need a math tutor.
Yeah. And so when Casey gets home, she tells her mom about the scholarship, and Casey's mom, Joan, is just like over the moon. She's like, I always liked that teacher. He's so smart. This is perfect, because Casey's mom has always had this plan, and Casey too, for her to go to an Ivy League, probably Harvard, and study physics and have this great career. Mm-hmm. Basically the career that her mom never had.
Yeah, and her mom is like uber feminist, mm-hmm. and they have only tofu in their house, and they eat really healthy, and I think that's like a really interesting thing that I never really saw on Disney movies back in the day.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
She's an interesting character.
She is.
So Casey's struggling to come up with what her personal science project could be. She's not really sure what could be personal to her. She's like, isn't science impersonal? Isn't that the whole thing? Mm-hmm. And so she and her friend are watching ice skating that night. And Casey is so into it. Like, she knows what is going on. She obviously watches this and really cares about the sport and knows a lot. And then she's like, there has to be an exact formula for what they're doing right now, like an aerodynamic formula. And then it like clicks in her head and she's like, oh, that's what I'll do my project on. Mm-hmm. And there we go. Kicks off the movie.
Yeah. And so she bikes to the local skating club, which I think is called the Harwood Skating Club, after Tina Harwood. Mm. And she's just like walking around the entrance to the club, like staring at the trophies, staring at the photos. There's a bunch of framed photos of Tina Harwood. And so she walks into the rink and starts watching the figure skaters practice. And we see Nikki and Jen and all the girls come out. And she starts filming with her like old school video camera. And Tina, the coach, Kim Cattrall, comes over and yells at her and is like so mad and is like, you're spying, you're taking notes for the competition. These girls are practicing for regionals.
I'm gonna call the cops. Like, excuse.
I know. And Casey is just like bewildered. And she's like, no, I'm sorry. It's for my physics project. Like, I'm just taking notes. Here's my notebook. Here's my student ID. And Jen skates over and calls her a science geek and is like, what are you doing here? And the fact that Jen knows her from school and knows that she's a geek and that this checks out, that she's there to do a physics project, Tina's just like, okay. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have gotten so mad at you. I'm actually fine if you stay, but you're going to have to convince all the other girls' parents.
Who are like dance moms. Mm-hmm. Like, they are so intense about their kids' sport. Mm-hmm. And so Casey has to give the parents letters of reference, a note from her teacher, her license, and the parents eventually agree, but they're like, you can't be a distraction for my kid, mm-hmm. basically.
And so Casey walks out on the ice one day while she's filming, and Teddy, who we find out is the Zamboni driver, yells at her for like walking in street shoes on the ice. And so she changes into her skates because she has this like old hand-me-down pair of skates that she uses to skate on her pond in her backyard. And so she wears those around the rink, and so she can like film on the ice, which I thought was actually really cute.
This scene was really sad. Jen's boyfriend comes in. His name is Brian, and he brings her like McDonald's or something. It's like fast food. And Tina yells at her and is like, you can't eat that. And also yells at her for Brian coming because I think they're making out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's just like a huge distraction. And we find out that Tina is Jen's mom. She tells her that she's not allowed to eat burgers and has to get back to her training. And she's like, but the other girls can eat what they want. And she's like, yeah, but you can't.
Mm-hmm.
And she also says something like, we have to make sacrifices for our sport or something. I can't remember exactly what she says. And then Jen is like, you mean like cheating? She like hints to that, which we'll find out more about later.
I missed that.
Casey's recording this on our camcorder and Tina's like, shut that off.
Yeah, it's very sad. It makes me sad for Jen. It's like such intense, like stage mom situation.
When your mom is your coach and she's also like a stage mom.
And she's an almond mom.
Terrible.
So then Casey goes to dinner with her friend Anne and shares all the things that she's like starting to find. And Anne makes a comment that the project is just like a little bit dry and it's like missing a little bit of her personality. And the whole point is that it's supposed to be a very personal project. So the next time Casey's at the rink, she asks Tina if she can take some lessons. And Tina says, you can, but the novice session starts, I think it's like next week, and it's $800 for the summer session. Oof.
It's an expensive sport.
It is.
And so then we see Casey working in a hot dog booth at the rink to make money. And like the kids are being so mean to her when they're ordering hot dogs. They're like, you touched it, or you breathed on it.
I know.
And then Jen and her friends come up and they have the craziest orders that are just it's so sad to see little girls be like, hold the bun on this, or can I get this big salad?
And put the dressing on the side and only a quarter cup of cheese on the side. It just sucks. It makes me so sad.
Yeah. And the girls kind of make fun of her because she just doesn't have it together, and she's also being nerdy with like how they could calculate their total.
Yeah, how they could split the order. She's like, you can owe this much and this much and this much. Or if you want to split it this way, you can owe this much and this much. And they just like make fun of her and hand her a 10 to like get her to stop. But then we see that Casey made it in the class. So she must have made enough money. And it's a bunch of little girls and Casey. And Jen is the class assistant. So it's just like kind of a funny dynamic right off the bat.
This is how I feel like I would look if I ever got into ice skating or like any of the hobbies that I say that I want to start. I'm like, I will be the grown adult with all these little kids.
I know, in the beginner class, me too. But like there's a lot of parents watching the class, like all the little girls' parents are there, and it just feels very intense. And one of the girls explains to Casey that the recital at the end of the class session is actually the first qualifier for regionals. So it is a big deal. It's not like a recital just for the parents.
And then we get this nice little montage of Casey learning how to skate. She's definitely using physics to try and like actually land things. We find out she likes the guy who drives the Zamboni, Teddy.
Yeah.
And she sees that he's driving the Zamboni. He's making the ice so smooth, and she's never seen ice so smooth before. So she immediately skates on it. And he's like, what, are you crazy? You can't be out on the rink when the Zamboni's out. That's so dangerous. And he like really
gets mad.
Like lays into her. Yeah, he's so mad. And she apologizes, doesn't really get why he's so mad. And she said, like, I'm sorry, I've just never skated on such a smooth surface. I wanted to try it out. Then she falls and her big butt pad explodes and styrofoam goes everywhere. And it's so embarrassing. And he like helps her pick up the styrofoam.
It's really funny.
But you can tell there's like sparks here. This is like their meet cute.
Yep. And so then back at home, Casey shows her mom what she's been working on so far, her project. Not that she's skating, but just kind of like the output of her work. And her mom makes, I think this is the second time, her mom makes a dig about the tiny skating outfits. And it's in the name of this like feminism, like they're wearing these like dinky little cutesy girl outfits. So like, yeah, it's interesting. Her mom is such an interesting character because of this, because of what you said. I feel like we weren't really seeing feminism on screen at all really in this time. And then this is such an interesting thing that, yeah, it's just an interesting thing to have a mom that's like super healthy and doesn't support ice skaters because they're too like frou-frou is like kind of the vibe.
It's like feminism, but not modern day feminism, where now it's like that's not feminist to like dig on their outfits, you know?
Exactly.
And Casey's like, yeah, but those outfits are actually aerodynamically sound.
Yeah.
And her mom's like, I would cry. I would cry my eyes out if I ever saw you in that. And Casey's like, well, good thing you won't.
Yeah. That made me sad.
Yeah. And then Casey is like awkwardly filming her presentation video, and she just cannot be normal.
She's like yelling at the camera like, hi, I'm Casey and I'm gonna show you how blah blah blah. It's like robot. It's wild. Yeah, it's really funny.
And then she demonstrates her skating before her physics findings and then how she can land a jump or something. Sorry, I know nothing about figure skating. After applying her physics findings, and her second jump is really good. Her friend like makes this joke like, oh, remember me when you signed with Nike one day? I'm a size 6.
Yeah.
I think this gives her like a lot of confidence that this is actually working. And so she tells Tina that she wants to do the recital. But she does have this like Harvard alumni lunch that she'll either have to miss or like kind of
just get out early.
Yeah. And she doesn't have an outfit. So Tina offers to lend her one of her old costumes.
So the next part is interesting to me because I assumed after her conversation with Tina that she wasn't going to go to the Harvard lunch. Not the case. So she's at home and her mom comes in with a brand new like suit outfit for her to wear to this Harvard lunch, and it is heinous. And her mom goes on and on about how she looks so serious and like she's there for the right reasons. And right before Casey's about to tell her about the recital, her mom goes on this like spiel about how proud she is of Casey for understanding what's really important and that college is her priority. And so Casey just can't bring herself to tell her. But she does say, we're only going to stay for an hour, right? And then they go in and end up getting dragged into a bunch of conversations. So you're not totally sure if she's going to make it to the recital in time.
But she does. And so Casey runs into the rink. She makes it just in time for the recital. And Jen and Tina are watching the show off to the side. And Jen is like, is Casey wearing your old outfit? And like at this point, I was like, okay, she's going to hate her. Like they're going to be enemies. But not the case. Casey does really well in the show, though. And when she reads her score at the end, she got a junior pass, which means that she skipped 2 levels, which I don't think is possible. And it puts her at the same level as Jen and her friends who have been skating their entire lives.
Yeah, wild.
She's just that naturally gifted, where physics helped her that much.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Tina's like, yeah, you did great, but you can't compete because you would need a private tutor, you need custom boots, you need to sharpen your skates every 6 weeks, you need private ice time, and she was kind of telling her the costs of everything, and it was just way too expensive.
And so at this time, it's the end of the summer, and school is going back. Casey is a senior, and she runs into the figure skating girls in the hall at school, and they congratulate her on landing a double, because she landed a double in the recital. And they like think they're going to see her around and ask if they're going to see her at the rink. And she says, no, you won't see me because I can't afford to train with you, basically. Jen catches up to her and says, like, no, you're the lucky one here. Your life isn't controlled by training. You don't have to be careful about what you eat. You can hang out with your friends. You can go out with your boyfriend, all this stuff. And you can tell that, like, they sort of just wish roles were reversed, you know, like very grass is greener on the other side moment.
So Casey's physics teacher says that her project is so good that she could probably sell it, and this gives her a huge idea. So she goes around to all the figure skaters and tells them that she can teach them to fix all of the things that they are having trouble with. And she does it, and somehow, miraculously, makes enough money that she's back at the rink. I don't think she has a coach, even though I'm pretty sure you have to have a coach for, like, any big performances. That's what I saw on TikTok, and I am sure it's true if it's on TikTok.
Yeah.
And she's flirting with Teddy, the Zamboni driver. And then her mom walks in. And it's like she's caught in the act of like, this is more than a project now. She's actually skating. Her mom meets Teddy and Tina, but it's super obvious her mom doesn't know that she's really training hard and doesn't approve of it and really doesn't approve of Tina at all. And she's very condescending. She was actually like pretty terrible in this moment.
Yeah. So then we see Casey kind of in action, having sold her model to all these girls. And so she's out on the ice and you see her model like showing what each girl should be doing in order to fix the specific thing they're working on. And it works. We see every girl like learn to master whatever it was that Casey was going to try to help them fix. And at the end of one of these practices, Jen goes to her mom and begs her to let her go out for once because she had just landed her triple axel. Her mom's like, fine, you can go this once, but who are you going to go with? And she asks Casey to go. She tells Casey they're going to go see a movie or like something chill. And they actually are going to Brian's party, her boyfriend's party. And as soon as they get there, Jen introduces her to a guy, Kyle, who's a hockey player, and then ditches her for her boyfriend, which is just like, I go so back and forth on Jen. She's like such a classic teenage girl where sometimes she sucks and sometimes she's like so endearing and nice.
Right now, she has one mission and one mission only, and that's freedom. She does not care about her new friend.
Yep, totally. And so during their conversation, Casey is like nerding out and Kyle gets freaked out and walks away.
Because of his fragile boy ego.
Yeah.
She can't be smarter than him.
I know. And then there's also some girls there that like see this happen and start to make fun of her. But then Teddy steps in and backs her up. And her and Teddy spend the rest of the party talking. And we find out that Teddy is Jen's brother.
I love that.
Me too.
Yeah. He was like, oh, you thought I was the help because he's the Zamboni driver.
And Casey's like, kinda, yeah.
And then we just see that Casey's been training and working. I think this is the part where she's like absolutely exhausted because she's like trying to do her project, but also trying to maintain the skating and then school. And it's just all too much for her right now.
Mm-hmm.
And she comes home and her mom asks her where she's been. And she says that she's been tutoring. She lies and says that she was with Anne, but her mom's like, Anne, who just called me 5 minutes ago and was asking for you. So she's totally busted. Her mom grabs her backpack or her backpack falls or something and her figure skating uniform falls out. So that's a big whoops. And at dinner, Casey admits that she wants to compete at regionals and that she's really, really good. And her mom just tells her there's no future in ice skating, which sucks.
Yeah.
But Casey sneaks out and she shows up to get on the bus to regionals. Jen puts makeup on her and is like, kind of like, oh, I've been seeing the eyes that you've been giving Teddy. I'm here for it. Go for it.
Yeah. This was such a good, I feel like from here on out, especially, Jen becomes such a good friend to Casey because I was expecting it to go the other way where Casey's getting this like special attention from her mom and she likes her brother. Like I just could see Jen hating her. I feel like that would be the more stereotypical thing to happen in one of these movies. But I love that she becomes her friend.
Yeah.
And is like, let me help you. You're really talented. You should do well in the competition. Here's all these tips. Like, don't let them get in your head. Let me put some eyeliner on you. You can have my brother.
You can have him.
Yeah. And so during Casey's routine at regionals, she slips on her first jump, but then she does great. And everybody's cheering for her. And like the crowd is totally invested in her routine. And she threw a triple, which I don't think they even knew that she could do that. And she ends up getting 5th. In the first round. And so she's kind of like threatening to get into the top 4, which then go on to sectionals. And Jen is in 4th. And Jen makes a comment like, oh, if you do really well in the next round, then maybe you'll kick me out of going to sectionals. And we just see that Tina like can't let it happen. So she takes Casey aside and is like, hey, you almost lost a boot when you were out there. Let me help you. Let me do something for you. And she takes her to go get brand new custom boots during the break between the 2 sessions. Casey thinks this is so nice. And Tina's totally playing along and is like, you don't need to thank me. Like, just prove to me that you deserve it. Like, keep performing the way that you've been performing. You need the new boots. Like, I'm here to help. And then she goes out and performs in the second session. And the same thing happens. She falls and then she does well for the rest. But we see later she's like wobbling on her feet and she pulls her skates off and her feet are covered in these like horrible blisters and she's like bleeding everywhere. And it was just horrible. It made me so sad.
This is the part of the movie that I remember is like her pulling off those skates and me being like, oh, Tina was back.
I know.
And so Zoe Block, one of the competitors, tells her that she can't compete in new skates. Everybody knows that. So obviously Tina knew that and that they take about 10 days to wear in. So Tina sabotaged her.
And so Casey like runs out of the locker room and catches up with Tina and Jen and Teddy and is just upset at all of them because she thinks all of them set her up and it was just kind of like all a scam and she thought these people were nice to her and were actually there to help her and they really weren't. And she calls her mom to come pick her up. And it's just really sad. And her mom yells at Tina, rightfully so.
Yeah, I loved that scene actually where Joan Cusack and Kim Cattrall got to like get into it.
Yeah.
It was great. And then at school, Jen tells Casey she didn't know her mom was getting her new skates. When Tina shows up to the school, Jen says that she quits. She's mad at her mom for never asking what she wants. She's mad at her also that she did the skates thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Casey is hiding, listening, and overhears everything, and then knows that Jen wasn't actually in on it. And so Casey goes to comfort her after their argument.
And so then Casey is sort of like back to normal business. She's like, I'm not messing around with the skating anymore. And she goes to her Harvard interview, which is for her physics, like to be part of their physics program. And in the middle of the interview, this shook me. But in the middle of the interview, she says, actually, I can't do what I love at Harvard. And is like, I'm sorry I wasted your time, and gets up and leaves. I could not believe she did this.
I was like, just fake it.
Yes.
Finish the interview and fake it.
So you have the option. Like, yeah, I was so surprised. I was so surprised by that. Because I'm like, also, as far as you know right now, like, yes, Jen said that she's quitting, but like, you don't even have another competition to go to. So anyway, it was wild to me.
I was also like, can you not figure skate and go to Harvard?
Right. Can you get in and like defer a year if you have to?
I don't know.
But I think it was a big moment for her to just be like, I realized that my whole life I've just been doing what my mom wants, and it's time for me to like stand up for myself and do what I actually want.
Mm-hmm.
And she gets in the car with her mom after leaving the interview, and her mom's like, you're giving up your dream. And she says, no, Mom, I'm giving up your dream. I'm going after mine. And so she's back at the pond practicing on the rough ice.
She's having a really hard time on the rough ice, and then out of nowhere, Teddy drives the Zamboni to smooth the ice, and I'm like, that pond cannot handle your Zamboni.
Same. That was my immediate thought. I was like, disaster. This is like where you die.
Death.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah.
I did find a fun fact about this scene. I was watching some behind the scenes, and I saw that for this scene, when she's like spinning around the ice before she goes up to him, and she kind of like stumbles a little bit when she's going up to him, she was not skating. They just put these like wooden planks down over the pond,
Mm-hmm.
which I think they built that as a rink anyway.
Mm.
But they put these wooden planks down. She's in sneakers, and she's just spinning around in shoes to make her way to greet him, and then like pretend stumbles.
That's funny.
I know. I was like, oh, that's hilarious that they actually didn't need her to skate there, so she didn't.
Mm-hmm. That is really funny. I thought that scene was weird because she's like slow motion circling and circling and circling before she walks up to him. I'm like, this is just bizarre, but that makes it even funnier to know that she's doing it not even in ice skates.
I know. I want to watch it again and see if like you can tell that there are footsteps happening, like if she's kind of rocking back and forth a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, Casey then goes to Tina's house and asks what happened in Sarajevo, which they've been talking about this whole time. Something happened back then during Tina's like height of her figure skating career. And Tina said that she collided with another skater during warm-ups, and she was suspended until she was too old to compete, until she was 26.
Mm.
So she really regrets it, and she wishes she could go back and change it. And Casey just gets up the nerve to say, hey, I need you to coach me for sectionals because I want this more than anything. I'm without a coach. You're without a skater now that your daughter has dropped out. So you're going to coach me, and we don't have to like each other, you know? And Tina agrees.
Mm-hmm. Now that we're talking about this, I actually think this tracks with Tanya's story.
Was she suspended until she couldn't compete anymore? It ruined her life.
Yeah.
It ruined her career.
Yeah. I think that is kind of the point, actually, of the I, Tonya movie, is this incident. I won't say anymore, just in case you watch it, but I think that's actually factually true. Anyway, not necessarily what happened, but that there was an incident.
Mm-hmm.
So Casey gets home, tells her mom. Her mom is pissed that she's going to work with Tina again, obviously. And she like starts saying like, you just want to be just like Tina, and you're going to start lying, and you're going to start sabotaging people, and you're going to wear those tiny little outfits, and just because they make you feel beautiful or something. And Casey's like, yes, they do make me feel beautiful. Why is that so bad? And if you would just come watch me skate, you would get it. And her mom says no. Her mom says, I have a class to teach and needs to leave. And then suddenly we're at sectionals.
Yeah.
And we jump right there.
both Jen and Anne come to watch, and they have the cutest interactions the entire time, because it's like they're not friends, but then they like kind of become friends throughout watching.
Yeah, Jen asks Anne to be her math tutor.
Yeah.
She asks Anne if she's a physics nerd. Anne's like, no, math nerd. And Jen goes, I really need to pass math to go to college. Do you tutor? And it's just very cute, their interactions. Yeah. So after the short performance, Jen comes to the locker room and is like cheering Casey on. And you can tell Casey is just like a little bit upset this whole time that her mom isn't there. Like she's like looking in the crowd, but she knows her mom wouldn't have shown up. And Jen is like just there being her cheerleader anyway, which I think is really nice. And we do see Casey's mom teaching her class. I couldn't tell like if she teaches at a college or like a community college.
I think so.
Okay. And she's like distracted while she's speaking and she's watching the clock and kind of at the same time that this is happening. So you can tell they're just like both distracted, both conflicted, both not giving their all. And Casey calls her home phone to like hear her mom's voice. And her mom obviously doesn't pick up because she's at school. And Tina pulls her aside before she goes on and is like, hey, this is not about your mom. This is actually about you. And she puts this little tiara in her hair and tells her to skate with her heart, which is like actually kind of a sweet moment for Tina because she's normally like very strict, hard coach. And Casey skates out to do her long performance, which is the second one. And she has a really bad fall on her first jump. And everybody's just kind of like, ooh, and you can tell she stays down for a minute. And I think this is the point in a lot of skating competition routines where like you would just be like, I'm not going to place anymore. And then you just kind of half-ass the rest of the routine. But when she gets up, she sees her mom is there and it just like totally lights a fire under her and she crushes the rest of the routine and even throws in a triple Lutz, which nobody knew that she could do. And she ends up getting second.
Yay, which puts her through to nationals. I love this. I love her outfit in this, the light blue. I love everything about this, and her mom is so proud of her. She apologizes, and then Teddy gives her roses, and they kiss. It's cute.
It's so cute.
And then as they're leaving, Tina and Casey's mom are bickering about who should decide on Casey's sponsor. Is this like what brand will sponsor her? Because I think it's like a meat brand or something, isn't it?
Yeah,
something unhealthy.
I think some burger company wants to sponsor her, because as they're walking out, Casey's mom is like, I don't know how to afford this, right? It's like, we're going to have to get her a sponsor. And Tina's like, oh, don't worry. This burger company already reached out to me. And Casey's mom gets super picky and is like, no, I think we could do better. We could pick like a healthier brand. Like, what about grape nuts or something?
Yeah, she's like, she's not even allowed to eat that brand. So like, why would she have them be the sponsor? It's so funny.
Yeah, it is funny.
And they're just bickering, but they both care about her, and it's really cute. And then one thing they do agree on is no boys.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the movie.
I love the ending. It was just so cute. And I don't think you see that a lot. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen that of they're all walking away and the moms are like arguing, but it's because they both care so much about her. It was really cute. I really liked it.
Yeah, this was a really wholesome, wonderful movie. I had a really good time watching it, and I'm really glad that it holds up.
I highly recommend a rewatch to you guys, even if you just listen to us recap that. Or if you have kids, this would be a really good one to watch. I know some of you guys do. If you have daughters especially, I think this would be a really fun watch together.
Yeah.
Because it's very much a mother-daughter movie, as much as it is like a friend movie and a movie about like pursuing your passions and your dreams. It's also a mother-daughter movie, so.
Yeah, and if this movie encouraged you to ice skate, let us know.
Please let us know and send us a picture in your cute little outfit if you have one.
I have gotten on like figure skating TikTok on accident before, and it's so impressive. Yeah. It's just so cool.
I believe that. It was so fascinating to watch this. Like, I love watching whenever figure skating competitions are on TV, or like the big ones are. I love watching them, and so it was so fun to just watch the figure skating in this movie. Like, even like if nothing else, that was so fun to watch.
Yeah, agree. Yay, I'm so glad we did it. And thank you guys for voting on it.
Well, if you liked listening, make sure to follow us on Instagram. We're posting a lot of fun things over there, and it's been really fun to get to message back and forth with you guys and kind of get to know you guys a little bit more. So you can find us at What We're Watching Pod.
Yeah, and if there's anything that you want to hear us recap next, let us know.
We love your suggestions.
Thanks for listening.
We'll talk to you next week. Bye.